3, 2, 1.
This broadcast, telecast, podcast, and whatever the hell else it is copyrighted by the Rad Network and the Rob and Steve Sports Show, all found at theradnetwork.com, and is for the private use of our audience. Any reproduction, accounts, or descriptions of this madness without the express permission of the Rad Network and Williams Broadcasting and Rob's Really Mean Lawyers is prohibited. So just don't do it. It's the Rob and Steve Sports Show.
Toss to White. He's in! Patriots win the Super Bowl! Brady has his fifth! What a comeback!
Welcome to 2 hours of sports and nothing but sports.
Mandel will hold it. Now they've officially made it 57 yards.
Number 8 block kick to go the other way, too. You got to be careful and get it up.
On the way. No, returned by Chris Davis. Davis goes left. Davis gets a block. Davis has another block. Chris Davis. No flags. Touchdown. Auburn.
Email the show at ras@theradnetwork.com.
Durant, back to Curry, dancing on Batum, over the double team. Oh! It's a golden dagger! Night! Curry, unconscious in the fourth.
And now the Rad Network presents the Rob and Steve Sports Show.
Welcome to the show. It's Friday morning. It's our last show for a week and a few days. A week from Monday. We will be back Monday, July 6th. Next week, we're going to gear up for the 4th of July. When we return, it'll be the final week of Major League Baseball for the All-Star Game. We got the NHL draft tonight, NBA draft fallout and trade rumors still circulating. Looking around, trying to find anything to start with. Steve, I don't know. I grabbed this one because we've been asking this question, and today I went, why? The Mets will enter their series against the Philadelphia Phillies tonight, last place in the National League East. 15 games behind the Braves, 9.5 games behind the Cardinals for the final NL's wild card bid. Okay, look, the Mets are like one of 4 teams that can stop thinking about the wild card. I'm going to allow it for the Tigers and all these teams that are 6 games or fewer out. The Mets don't need to be considering a run at the wild card. We need to wake up just a little bit. The Mets entered the season with World Series expectations. They had undergone a complete makeover by the beginning of this season, building around Juan Soto and Francisco Lindor. They got second baseman Marcus Semien. They got center fielder Luis Robert Jr. They got Peralta. They got Myers. And then everything backfired. 12-game losing streak in April when everybody was sure Francisco Mendoza would be fired, while the Phillies and the Red Sox, or Carlos Mendoza rather, while the Phillies and the Red Sox were also mired in these slumps. Well, the Phillies manager got fired. Don Mattingly is excelling. He's doing fine, and there's Carlos Mendoza still managing the Mets while the Mets are getting booed at Citi Field, and this morning they fired Carlos Mendoza, which got me to shake my head and go, why? The club is in the midst of a 6-game losing streak. Andy Green, my choice, has been named interim manager for the remainder of the season after they were swept in 4 games by the Cubs. So I guess it wasn't bad enough 6 weeks ago, Steve, but it's bad enough now that Carlos Mendoza needs to go away for the season.
And I'm with you. I thought he should have been fired early on. I thought he should have been fired before Rod Thompson with the Phillies. We watch what Don Mattingly has done, and now suddenly they're only 4 games behind the Braves, making a run not only for the playoffs, which I would think everybody's pretty much convinced the Phillies will make the playoffs, but it's whether or not they can run the Braves down and win this division. The Mets were in that similar position. They held pat. They left Mendoza there, said, we're not going to panic. We're not going to. The season's over. I mean, whether you fire him now or you wait until the end of the season, your season is over. It's not going to get better. I understand the firing now, but it just makes me ask the question, if now, why not then, as we've seen what the Phillies have been able to do. And you can throw the Red Sox in there. They fired Alex Cora at the time, and the Red Sox continue to play bad baseball. I would even argue even worse now than they were under Cora. So the advantage of that and the early is the Red Sox know, look, our core doesn't mesh. There's a lot of issues here with the team, the roster that's built. And that's where I think ownership needs to look at the general manager. It wasn't the manager that caused the issue. And maybe the general manager needs to go and you need to get refocused on baseball. And the Red Sox, I think, have some answers and now have a little bit clearer picture of what to go into the off season, where the Mets now, right now, okay, was it Mendoza? Was it not Mendoza? Let's see where they go and find out what they can do. But I would have loved to have known this answer back, having watched baseball in May and June, on to do we need to look at the front office as well?
So this has been so funny because like a week ago you said, "How does the owner Steve Cohen of the Mets feel spending all of this money
Mhm.
and getting literally nothing in return for his investment?" And then it was like a couple days later, the president, the GM, whatever his name is, was it Sheen, came out. David Stearns came out and said, "I speak for the owner. We still believe we're in it. We can make a run. The Mets we're still in it." I mean, that was like days ago this week, and now today Mendoza's fired. They feel much more chaotic. Like you laid out the Phillies, you laid out even the Red Sox, who have been fairly chaotic lately. The Mets seem completely off the rails. They've obviously given up for the season. They've named Andy Green, which I think is a character from Casino, as their interim. He's not going to be their manager, so they're going to spend the year evaluating what they got and trying to figure out who they can hire as a splash yet again in New York. They're beyond a joke. The Mets are at this point.
And one of the things that I wonder now, let's say Andy Green turns it around and they start winning, and then they
Okay.
don't quite make the wild card, but they get back up to close to 500. We look at it going, look, the second half of the season, once he took over, they played 10 games above 500. Do then they get trapped into hiring him in as the manager? Have we seen with the Raiders and these other teams that they come in and they replace during the season, and then they make a nice little run and the players back them and they start performing, and then instead of cutting the head off the snake, they're stuck with what they have and let's move forward. And I don't think it's a long-term solution. I get, look, he's the intern, but I don't think the Mets need to look, even if he comes back and gets them close. Now, if he comes back and suddenly, like Rob Thompson did with the Phillies a few years ago, when he took over the Phillies and actually took them on to like the World Series,
Sure.
then it's a little bit different story. But you can't get sucked into the, hey, we're 10, 12, 14 games over 500. Since he took over, he needs to take the realm. Because I think the issue is bigger than the manager. I Stearns, he would be the person I'd be looking at. He's the one who constructed the roster. He's the one who's had the open checkbook. This is his team. It's not the manager. The manager can only manage the players on the field. This is the team that he built. Where do they go from here? And I don't think the pieces fit. I didn't think it going into the season that I felt the Mets, oh, this is a solid team. This is a World Series contender. I didn't think it the year before either, when everybody was saying the Mets, oh, they're going to go to the World Series. I don't like this Mets roster. I don't think they're going to win. And I think they've been spending money foolishly. And so far, they've proven me right. So I go farther up and, then take it to the Red Sox with, I think Craig Breslow's got to go. I don't, it's a shame because he depends so much on analytics. He will believe a piece of paper 100 times out of 100 times over what he watches in the game. And that astonishes me when he played the game for as long as he did that he believes a piece of paper has more information than what his eyes are. So, being a relief pitcher that he was, maybe he didn't watch a whole lot of games that I would think he did, sitting out in the bullpen, learning the art of the game, managing rosters, all that other stuff. Maybe he was out there sticking bubble gum on the back of other pitchers' hats and lighting their shoes on fires as pranks. And that's how he spent his time in the bullpen, not concentrating on the game. And because he doesn't seem to know it, he believes the analytics 100% over everything else. And analytics have a place, but it can't be the go-to, be all that it appears that he believes. And I don't think he'll ever be successful with the Red Sox either.
As a Red Sox fan, your disdain for Mr. Breslow is well documented on this program, but it sounds like your issue with both the Mets and the Red Sox is not the Red Sox have only started to spend. Certainly the Mets are spending. It's not the spending. It's not even necessarily the talent. It's the talent that's amassed. It's the wrong formula. It's not the right chemistry, because that is one of the great mysteries. Let's go back to the Mets, since they're the ones that fired Mendoza this morning. They are a team you look at as a baseball fan and you say, they've spent a ton of money. They've got some extraordinary names on this roster. And you go, it can't be the players. But wait, is it the players because of who they're playing with? It's not the manager, like you said. So you don't like the way it's constructed. You think each of these teams needs to break down a little bit, maybe tear down a third of the roster and start over. But they do have the foundation for a hell of a team, both of them.
Yes, they have talented players, but having talented players and not building the roster properly, to me, doesn't mean anything. We've seen these teams. You can't buy a championship. And it's hard for me to say that when I look at the Dodgers. But I will defend the Dodgers they have an extremely productive farm system. And if you pulled the farm system out over the last 6-7 years and said, Dodgers, you got nothing, there is nothing that's going to come out of this farm system, we wouldn't be viewing the Dodgers in the light that we are. I wholeheartedly believe the first thing you do as a general manager, president of baseball operations, you have to build through the farm system. You have to pay the money, go out and hire the best you can, because you want your scouts, you want your player developments, you want these things. We see it in Tampa Bay. We see it in Milwaukee. We see it, sorry to say, with the Dodgers. The Red Sox were handed a ton of talent in the minor league system. And so they have it in place. You want to build and be able to pull from the minor league system, not only to produce at the major league level, but use it to trade for areas that you need to strengthen that roster and build a championship team. The Mets. Okay, I'll give them Benj this year. Ewing has come up this year. And by the way, Benj has a cannon. This guy's arm is unbelievable if you haven't seen him throw from the outfield. But on the whole, I mean, Semien came in a free agent. Juan Soto came in as a free agent. They signed, Freddie Peralta. Nolan McClain did come up through their system, but they haven't produced a ton of talent. So they're lacking in that farm system. And like we see, now throw the Cowboys out there, they tend to chase the big name that may or may not really fit with the roster and or strengthen the team. Juan Soto is a great ball player. I do not believe Juan Soto is a very good clubhouse guy. I watched him go to San Diego, and this team became better after they got rid of him. The team started playing as a team. I watched him go to the Yankees. And while the Yankees players didn't really come out and say, hey, look, we didn't care for the guy, he couldn't get out of New York fast enough. And the Yankee players didn't, oh my gosh, we have to do it. We need to keep him on this team. The Yankee players seem to me to be kind of thankful that he moved on as well. So he's not taken over the clubhouse. And you can have guys like that. I mean, you'd hear from Jeff Kent, other Giant players. Look, Barry Bonds is one of the greatest players that ever put on a uniform. Barry Bonds may not have been the best teammate, and they talk about how he was so busy watching the stock market while in the clubhouse as opposed. But you know what, Barry, do your thing. I don't care. Help us win on the field. But you can't depend on Barry Bonds to be the leader of the team, even though he may want to be the leader of the team. You still need to have the Jeff Kents, the Will Clarks of the world to lead that team. And who is it on the Mets? I mean, I sit there and I look at it. I think they're kind of poor at third base. They let Alonso walk away. It's just they're pitching. Yeah, McLean is a really good pitcher who's struggling this year, but he's a kid. You sat there and said he's got to be like Tariq Skubal immediately, and they put a lot of pressure on him. And when he, being in New York, when he has that bad outing, everybody's all over him, and you don't have anyone else to help him. It just, I think the whole thing has been a mess. It's been a mess for a couple of years now, and they go after big names without understanding, and this is the problem with the Red Sox also, without understanding, in my opinion, the clubhouse and the clubhouse atmosphere and what's going on with the players. The Red Sox have a bunch of talent, but the front office and the manager, or I'll say the front office, they're not being upfront and honest with them and open with them on what they're going to do. You saw it with Devers. You got Marcelo Mayer, who was one of the better prospects in the game. This guy, I'm hoping his career isn't, destroyed because, well, they kind of let him play shortstop. Then he played second base, and we don't know where we're going to use you, but you're not hitting. So, and they did him, the Red Sox signed Christian Campbell to an 8-year contract. Look, and then boom, he's down in the minor leagues and he's disappeared. During the outfielder, really good young talent. But, well, we don't know where we're really going to play you. He's been the talk of trades for a year now, and they've never set that, what are we going to do with that? They have a lot of talent, but to me, they're not upfront and honest, and they're playing guys out of position. I mean, Meyer played second base for the bulk of last season. He's a shortstop. You got Contreras, and granted, he's a catcher and they're moving him to first, but he's still a catcher playing first. It just, the Mets, the same thing, except they're not playing players out of position.
And this is the thing. These are not insignificant teams in Major League Baseball. These are the New York Mets and the Boston Red Sox. We're not talking about the Miami Marlins and the Colorado Rockies and how they pop up every decade or so and then they go and disappear, sort of thing. And the Phillies backed into, it seems like, what you're talking about with the clubhouse and the chemistry. They wanted to hire Cora right away. Meanwhile, they get stuck, quote, quote, with Don Mattingly, who was the bench coach, and his kid is the boss, or something weird is the dynamic. But look at what Mattingly's done. What has changed in Philadelphia other than Don Mattingly? And it's this extraordinary record. He has to have done something right. Hey, guys, I was a superstar once. I can figure this out, too.
And Mattingly knows and isn't just driven by analytics.
Right.
We all knew the Phillies roster was really talented. But him coming in gave that look. We got a veteran player who should be in the Hall of Fame, who's managed successfully. He was the bench coach with Joe Torre for many years. He has the pedigree, and he went in there and allowed them to produce, made them feel comfortable. I'm sure he let everyone know, look, this is what I want from you. This is your assignment. They all know what their duties are. And then they got comfortable. They weren't worried about anything going forward. You get a lot of these young kids and it's that, oh no, if I make a mistake, are they going to pull me? Oh no, if I go 0 for 4, am I going back to the bench? And they can't play loose. We all know if you're not loose, you're never going to succeed in a professional sport or in any game. I mean, if you're not loose in a little league game, chances are you're going to go 0 for 2 or 0 for 3 in your at-bats. And Mattingly changed that culture by just believing in the players, has the pedigree to prove it, and that just isn't happening. And you can't tell me almost every Red Sox player I believe, is sitting there saying Craig Breslow really has no idea what's going on with this team on the field. He's making our lineup cards every day and just has lost entire touch with this team.
A lot more baseball to talk about. A ton of weekend series are starting. We'll get to all of that as the show goes on. Other things, the news out of baseball right now: Mets have fired Mendoza as their manager and gone with Green as the interim manager for the year. Other things sports fans are talking about. As I said, we won't be here next week. We won't be here Monday to preview, and then Wednesday to evaluate. But it's a sports story that almost transcends sports. Serena Williams will face an opponent less than half her age when she plays 20-year-old Maya Joint of Australia in the first round at Wimbledon for Serena's first singles match in nearly 4 years. The 7-time Wimbledon singles champ is 44, accepted a wild card entry to the grass court Grand Slam, where she will also compete in doubles. This is what I care about, with her older sister Venus, who turned 46 last week. Serena has not played a singles match since a third round loss in 2022. She and Venus are wild card entries in the women's doubles. They'll play their first round match later. Again, I just think it's a cool story. Serena has never said retired. Remember when she went out in 2022? She was, I forget, I just saw the word she used, but she's back. We've seen this coming. She's done the GLP-1 thing. She and Venus have been raising their profile. I don't know what the end of this is, but I think it's cool. Serena looks great. Can she take on, what is Maya Joint, the 40th? Something like, I mean, she's like a top 50 player in the world. That's what she's stuck with because she took an at-large bid. No one's going to be surprised if Serena loses. Like, oh, okay, I mean, she's 44, she hasn't played, blah. But boy, if she wins a few of these, there's your story. There's your Tiger-esque story developing.
I love it. It's Wimbledon. It's like golf and the Masters. You know, if that's the only tournament you play in, so be it, as long as you can. I'd love to see her win her first round match. You don't even have to get past that. Just win the first round match.
Right.
That would be incredible. But I'm hoping her and her sister Venus win, and it'd be nice to see them advance in the doubles. That's the one I'm more interested in. And I'm hoping that they can advance and not just get beat in the first round.
By the way, to clarify myself, Maya Joint is ranked 53rd in the world. In basketball, we got a lot of NBA news for later, but this is Steve's account. It broke this morning. The Oklahoma City Thunder are trading guard Isaiah Joe to the Detroit Pistons for 2 second-round picks, way off in the distance, 2030 and 2031. Financially motivated move for the Thunder, and it addresses, say some, the Pistons need to add perimeter shooting alongside Cade Cunningham. Joe turns 27 next week, 41.5% from three-point range in the past 4 seasons. After the Thunder acquired him, he averaged 9.7 points per game during his OKC tenure, mainly off the bench, has the highest three-point percentage amongst 56 players with at least 1,500 attempts over those 4 seasons. Mr. Pistons, do you like this move?
I love this trade. One OKC's, you know, got to figure out what they're going to do. You know, they bring back Hartenstein. Dort, is he going to come back? They have a lot of guards there. Even drafted some more, I believe 2 more guards. And they knew it. They needed to move them on. Got a couple of draft picks for down the road to keep that stockpile of draft picks going. And the Pistons needed perimeter shooting. I like Isaiah Joe. I really do. I've been a fan of his for a while. I think he's going to fit nicely with the Pistons. They acquired 2 second-round picks for, you know, Stewart, who they traded away to the Grizzly. And this is kind of like, okay, we traded those away so we could get Isaiah Joe. The thing is, I'm curious to see where the Duran thing is going to go. You traded away Stewart, so you got to believe the Pistons are going to re-sign Duran. But man, he's eligible for that max contract because he was like 3rd team NBA or something like that. They can't give him 50+ million a season. I know he's young, but I'm real curious to see where they go. But if they allow him to walk, and they have the right to match an offer, but if he walks away with nothing, where do the Pistons go from here? But the real reason, on top of all that I like the Joe thing is I don't think they're going to be held hostage now to overpay for a Tyler Hero in a trade or something like that. I think they have an option now. And if something opens up, hey, look, this is where we could go. I really think they wanted Kobe White to fill that road, but he re-signed yesterday with the Hornets. So it's like, okay, we can go a cheaper route. I think Isaiah Joe, if you told me who do I want, Joe or Hero, I would take Joe right now. He's less money. I think he's going to fit better with the team, and he can actually play a little bit of defense. So those are bonuses.
Plenty of NBA rumors in the aftermath of the draft having just been competed. We'll get to those as we move on. As I mentioned, the NHL draft is tonight and tomorrow. Steve was so intrigued by this story, he felt it necessary to text me yesterday that Dallas Stars winger Jason Robertson, who's 26 and will become a restricted free agent next Wednesday, July 1st, who recorded 45 goals, 51 assists last season, added 5 goals and 3 assists in the playoffs before the Wild eliminated the Stars in the first round. Robertson was picked by the Stars in the second round of the 2017 draft. He has tallied 213 goals, 277 assists, 490 points in 456 career NHL games. He's reached 40 goals 3 times in the 5 full seasons that he's played. He and the Stars, though, are at least $2 million per season apart in contract negotiations. The Stars had worked out a trade with the Kraken of Seattle before granting them permission to talk to Robinson. The agreement would have included the Kraken's first round pick, 7th overall in tonight's draft, but Robertson turned down the massive offer from the Seattle Kraken, who presented the forward with an 8-year deal worth $15 million a year that would have made him the second highest paid player in the NHL. Seems like the definition of betting on yourself, I guess, Steve.
I don't know if it's he really didn't want to go to Seattle. That's kind of where I'm clinging to, because I don't think he's going to get a better offer. And the reason I texted that to you is Robertson's a star. He
Right.
really is. He is one of the better players. And yesterday I made the comment on how I'd like to see the Sharks with their 3 number 1 picks to dip their toe into this, go find out what veteran they could get. You know, and I threw Austin Matthews out there, and that's not going to happen. But I found it interesting that, look, the Stars were willing to trade Robertson away for the 7th pick overall, and they got turned down. Why couldn't the Sharks offer the 9th pick and maybe he'll bite? And then you bring him in for the 9th. You still use that second on the defenseman they're eyeing to improve this team. This would take a major step forward for the Sharks. And that's what I'm saying. Look, I'm not saying I love what the Sharks have done. I've said it from day one. Every spot that opens up, you need to replace that player with someone better. They've transitioned. They have really have a great game plan. I would just like to see them speed it up a little bit. And I'm not saying mortgage the future, because I think the route they're going, this Sharks team, once it gets fully built, could be a power for quite some time. And they are so young that they could be, I would say, better than that Sharks team we saw for like that 10-year run or whatever it was, when they were constantly competing, you know, for that Western Conference final. And I just think Robertson, I was stunned when I heard a 7th. I'm like, 7th pick overall. I'm like, glad he turned it down. But we know the salary offer now for the most part. It's just, where does he want to go? And if they can't get the 7th, I would believe the Stars would be willing to trade for the 9th pick if he's willing to waive it. So I would be making that phone call, because Robertson for the 9th, I'd take that all day long. And because they have so much youth, they can absorb a big contract right now to strengthen that team. Yes, they're going to have to pay down the road when all of these stars start making really good money. But that's one of the things I would have looked into.
And so Robertson turns down 15 million a year to become the second highest paid player. You said you don't think he'll get a better deal
No.
anywhere else. So is he turning this down? Your opinion is he just doesn't believe he can win with Seattle. He
I,
doesn't want to be part of that franchise.
I believe it's a Seattle thing, not a contract thing. I think he's crazy not to take that and that amount of money. But I think it's a Seattle thing.
Specifically, you mean a Kraken thing. It's not a Seattle thing, right? Or it's a Kraken thing. It's the team. Or
Well,
do we know?
I don't know if it. I like to believe it's the Kraken thing, but you get to Washington, and I don't know what their
Yeah.
tax rates are up there.
High.
You're going from Dallas, where I'm really not paying a whole lot of taxes. Okay, I'm making 15 million, but how much is going into, my taxes there? And again, I'm not political, but you hear them talk about millionaire, billionaire taxes. Is because I'm now a millionaire athlete in Washington. Are they going to take more of my money? I, as much as I hate politics in it, I don't know if politics played a role in that part as well. So not only a Kraken, but a Seattle Washington issue.
Well, that's why I asked the question because more and more athletes are making the decisions based mainly, I'm sorry, not mainly, based partly on not the franchise at all, but the city. And I don't even know if it's politics, it's money, it's
Yeah, it
finances.
is.
It's sure people are going to make it about politics, but California and how they're taxing people that come in from other states and just play in the state of California where you live, et cetera. It does like LeBron, right? We've been talking about that for weeks. God knows we have to talk about him at some point today. LeBron, there's always been that geographical factor of how far away from LA does he want to be. So that's why I was asking, what do we know if there's an issue with Robertson, if he doesn't want to be in the Pacific Northwest? Is it a money issue? Is it a Kraken issue? That's the only reason I ask. Who knows? He doesn't want to play there for $15 million a year. So something's going on. You brought up the Sharks. What a boondoggle that would be. They have the second pick tonight. Maple Leafs have the first. It's 4 o'clock Pacific time, ESPN. The smart money is McKenna goes to the Maple Leafs. Stenberg takes care of the defender role for the Sharks. I don't know who all these players are over the next top five or whatever. Steve, you didn't say it, and you had multiple chances too. I'm taking it you think the second pick is too expensive for Robertson.
I well, I I like the youth movement, and for me, the Sharks really need their only weakness for me is that defense. I think they need to shore up the defense a little bit. And if they get a kid and Stenberg could step in and contribute fairly quickly, that addresses it. If they believe, even if he's not going to contribute this year and possibly the next year, in a couple of years, as this team starts to mature, that he could step up and be one of the top defensemen, I think it's worth it. And I like that angle. I wouldn't go the second round because we already saw the Stars were willing to take the 7th overall pick and could not move it. Really, what's the difference between the 7th pick and the 9th pick if they're able to move him? That's why I would immediately. Yesterday before the show, if you said, hey, look, you can have this guy for the 2nd pick overall, I'd have taken Robertson all day. But now I believe you could probably still get him for the 9th and keep that 2nd.
No, that's a great point because you're right. The thing that I left out of my question there was that it was Robertson that squelched this. The Stars were fine; they were ready to go. So the NHL draft is tonight at 4 o'clock on ESPN. We've been chronicling, Steve, how the NHL is legitimately growing in popularity in America. It is mainly existing sports fans who are kind of segueing over, reaching over. A lot of people bored by basketball, or they just wanted something else to watch. They get into the NHL, but like every sport, Steve, there's so much you don't know until you've been a fan like you for years and years and years. So a lot of us are more prone to, depending on what sport you're into. Major League Baseball draft, really even up until a couple of years ago, not going to see him for years. They're going to go to the minors. Who knows? That's not so much true anymore, but that's a late in life phenomenon for baseball. Basketball, football, we're used to these guys right away. Right away, Cooper Flag. Right away, there's an impact. Right away, there's a Rookie of the Year, an NFL Defensive Player of the Year, Rookie of the Year. What about hockey? These guys immediately make an impact? Are they right there on ice this year, or is it a 2-3 year thing?
It's sometimes 3, 5, 6 year thing. That's one of the sad parts about hockey is they just have to get into the system. start putting in the work, progressing on up, which is where if you're the star, like Stenberg, I gotta believe they think he can play this year, if not this year, by next year. But most of these players, you even see, number one draft picks, they're not going to make an impact in the NHL for probably several years, which is where Celebrini is so unbelievable that he was able to step in and get it done, and to such a high level. The things that he has accomplished so quickly in his career puts him on pace to be with some of the elites that have ever played the game, which is wonderful, which is where the Sharks need to stay on course. The GM, whoever's making the decision, is doing an outstanding job. He really is. He has a clear picture of what they want to do. They need to stay on course. And I think the future is so bright for the Sharks. I would just, as a fan, I want to see it speed up. I don't want to see, we got 3 number ones, but they're not going to make an impact for a couple of years. I heard, with the Knights, they had Logan Thompson sitting down there, and it's like, look, he's a great goaltender. He kept playing with the Silver Knights, and is he really going to get his chance? He comes up, he does all right, doesn't really get a true thing, and they trade him for a 4th-round draft pick. This last year, he's the NHL second team goalie. The year before, I think he had like the first or the second most wins. And you're like, look, he was with the Vegas Golden Knights, but that's what happens is you got to put your time in the minor leagues. Very few are able to step up and perform at the highest level with quality.
One other quick breaking news story that just cleared the wires. The NFL, we already know, will not let quarterback Brendan Sorsby join any of its teams in 2026. This is the Texas Tech quarterback, gambling, supplemental draft, no, etc. If you know, you know. Now we know the CFL won't let him play either. They said in a statement issued to USA Today, quote, upholding the integrity of the league and ensuring fair competition are paramount to the CFL. The allegations involving Brendan Sorsby are serious and concerning. At this time, the CFL will not register a contract for him, and no team will be permitted to add him to its negotiation list, end quote. Sorsby has shown no inclination to play in the CFL, which started its 2026 season on June 4th, but he also thought he had an option, which now it seems like challenging the NFL's decision as the supplemental draft occurring in court, or accepting he won't be able to be drafted by an NFL team until April 27th. So the CFL is getting in front of us and saying, don't come looking at us. We don't want you either. So more and more the doors are closing on Sorsby as this story goes on.
Yes, he's running out of options here. I'm curious to see if he's going to sue the CFL and say, look, why are you not permitting me to register? What's the holdup there? And not so much because he wants to play in the CFL this year,
right?
But what happens if he doesn't get an opportunity in the NFL next year? His option has to be the CFL, I believe. So he needs to figure out how he can open up that door as a backup plan if he wants to keep playing football, unless he's going to say the UFL will take me and I'll just go play in the UFL.
What a mess.
Rob and Steve continue next, only on the radnetwork.com.
If you've never heard of microseal, let me tell you what it isn't. It is not a really small marine mammal. Get it? A microseal? Oh, fine. Just ask AI. AI describes MicroSeal this way with a bunch of AI words. MicroSeal is a premium, eco-friendly, and biodegradable fabric protection spray that penetrates deep into fibers to provide permanent stain, soil, and sun fade resistance for rugs, furniture, and delicate fabrics. It uses nanotechno blah 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 and blue 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 blue. What AI is trying to say is that MicroSeal is non-toxic, non-allergenic, safe for pets and children, and although AI doesn't say this, they should, you need to contact a longtime maggot Joel from AdvantageSteam.com right now to get him to apply MicroSeal for you. You can even make appointments online at AdvantageSteam.com. We've had MicroSeal for years at Williams Manor, and it treats a lot more than carpets. MicroSeal protects virtually all fibrous materials, including wool, cotton, silk, suede, leather, and synthetic fabrics. It protects upholstery, carpets, rugs, draperies, and clothing, including wedding dresses. And ladies, you're going to need what? 3 or 4 of those in your lifetime. And it protects against stains, moisture, and UV degradation without changing the texture. Also, if you're an interior designer, Joel has a special program just for you, and all you have to do is say the password, which is what? But there's no password, I guess. Never mind. Whoever you are, contact Joel at AdvantageSteam.com. And if you're an interior designer, tell him, I guess. I don't know. That's AdvantageSteam.com, where you'll learn more about MicroSeal and everything else that Joel offers at AdvantageSteam.com. That's AdvantageSteam.com. AdvantageSteam.com. Longtime advertiser Sue Berry, that's Berry with an A, is more important now than ever. Sue and her team have been serving Northern Nevada and the outlying areas for 30 years, and her experience in both commercial and residential lending is vital, as every day we're bombarded with news of interest rates, the market, the economy, and a bunch of other stuff that Sue can actually make sense of while everyone else's eyes glaze over. Now remember, it's Sue Berry with an A, B-A-R-R-Y, SueBerry.com. Most people think berry is spelled like a fruit or Halle Berry, but no, it's Sue Berry with an A, like soul singer Barry White's first name.
I've heard people say,
stop that. Sue is a broker versus a retail lender, which means she can shop over 150 different lenders to get you the very best rate possible. And on average, someone who uses a broker like Sue saves over $10,000 per loan, which includes refinancing. And if you have a rate at 6.5% or higher, call Sue for a free quote now on a refinance. Sue Berry and her incredible team from Barrett Financial can be found at SueBerry.com. That's Berry with an A. I've been working with Sue and recommending her to you for years. All you need to do is call her now so she can get you pre-approved. Just call your residential and commercial lending expert, Sue Berry, at 775-843-9983. Oh, Rob, stop. You're going too fast. What was the number again? 775-843-9983. Or just head to SueBerry.com. The number's right there. Berry is B-A-R-R-Y. Sue Berry with an A.com. That's Sue Berry, B-A-R-R-Y.com. SueBerry.com.
Disclaimer, Sue Berry, NMLS number 366040, Barrett Financial Group, LLC, NMLS number 181106, Nevada 5091, Equal Housing Opportunity.
Steve has been running sports books for decades, and Rob spent decades running radio so far into the ground he just created his own network. This is the Rob and Steve Sports Show on the Rad Network.
One non-draft, non-trade, non-sign, rumor-related story from the NBA. The Golden State Warriors have joined forces with IREN Limited on a multi-year sponsorship deal. What is IREN, you ask? Well, I'm so glad you did, because I had to Google it too. It's an Australian-based technology company that has rapidly pivoted into a major AI cloud infrastructure provider. Their AI, their tech. They will be featured on the Warriors team's jerseys with a sponsor patch starting this season, 26-27. It will be the richest, unless another one comes along before then, sponsorship in the history of North American team sports. The Warriors are owned by Joe LeCobb, who purchased the team in 2010 for $450 million. Okay, that's what he bought the team for 16 years ago, $450. The team brought in revenue last season, 25. Last season we have numbers for, of $877 million. So dude's turning a profit annually, which is not always the case with owning a professional sports team. Paid $450 million for a team that's worth what now? $8 I mean, you're in San Francisco. I don't know.
No, it's more than 8. I gotta.
Okay.
You're bidding 12 billion for an expansion team in Las Vegas.
Well, I'm waiting for that to happen. That's my
Yeah.
prediction. If that happens, the Warriors are a 15 to 20 million dollar franchise. Either way, this deal with Iran to have a patch on the Warriors uniforms will cost $50 million a year. Okay. Wow. I mean, what a number. And good for everybody involved, I suppose. I don't know what else to say, but that's an extraordinary amount of money. Holy cow.
And yes, and I know the teams have put these patches on it and $50 million worth of advertising. Who's the patch that they're taking off? What company?
Did they have one?
I think every team in the NBA has one. My problem is I thought it was that shopping online site or whatever it was. I'm not sure who they had, but that's the part that I question is, who do the Pistons have for their sponsor in their jersey? I don't even know. So are they really getting $50 million worth of advertising when you can't even, I watch a
I
lot of
see.
games.
Okay. So your point was, do you even recall
Right.
who? Yeah. And in fact, it's funny because I was just doing that a couple weeks ago with my mom with Major League Baseball teams because she was asking me, I think, about the Rangers. And she said, "What is that on your sleeve?" And at first I said, "It's the Texas flag." She said, "No, the writing." And I had to Google it at some convenience store or whatever. I don't remember the name now. Now, granted, these convenience stores don't exist where I live. Maybe that's it. But you're right. Are they really getting? I mean, I guess if you watch the Warriors every night, you're a P1 fan. I mean, we could do the marketing side of this left and right. I don't understand the wisdom of yet another AI company just putting their name out there. Most of us don't know the difference between iRen and all the others that I could name if I had them memorized. It's like it's AI. So I'm not even sure of that. But you bring up a good point. Can you name any of them on any of these teams that you watch regularly of what's on their uniforms, their patch, their elbow, their arm?
Yeah, I know I can't, and I watch a lot of sports out there, and unfortunately on the tech side, I couldn't name you
No,
one
no,
one tech company with AI. I've never used AI. I've never even oh, I haven't just click on it. I don't even know where I would begin to even attempt to do anything with AI.
yeah, and I don't want to get too far into the business side of it. It's a very curious partnership in that I use AI every day with what I do. I'm familiar with it. I obviously I'm a huge believer in advertising. That's how I've made my living my entire life. Repeated visual repetitive stimulation works in that it brands the name in your head. I just don't know if I would ever be curious enough to go, "Oh, I'm going to check out this iRen thing that I finally had to Google because I keep seeing it on the Warriors uniform. Oh, it's an AI company. I'm going to check." It's not like, say, "Oh, In and Out, I'm hungry. I want a burger." That is that immediate response. I'm just not sure about where this whole thing goes.
And the one
Anyways,
I
but
can tell you is Circus Sports is on the Vegas Golden Knights because I see that
okay.
whenever they play. But I know it's a casino sports book, so I know it's a sports book out there. But I think Circa One's the only one I know.
A lot of them, by the way, are these locally based franchises that you don't know, like you've never heard of them. Like even people that live in the area sometimes. Really, just because San Francisco is right there, Silicon Valley and everything, I wonder if even 50% of the population could tell you what iRen is, or if they would be guessing. It's not one that rolls off the tongue. Enough about that. We were talking about the NBA yesterday. We did the teams that did well in the draft. We had left off with the Sacramento Kings, who got Darius Acuff Jr., who averaged 23.5 points, 6.4 assists per game while earning SEC Player of the Year, Rookie of the Year, etc. A lot of people are describing Darius Acuff Jr. as the steal of the draft, although they're focusing almost entirely on his offensive production. The was it ESPN went out? Yes, ESPN went out and they did their thing where they talked to coaches about off the record about what they saw in the draft. The thing that was mentioned the most about Acuff Jr. was one that his maturity and leadership style stand out. And while he is not the loudest voice in a locker room, teammates respect him because of his approach and his work ethic, comparing him in theory, this coach did, to Jerry Rice. They see the guy doing the work. He might not be the one that does the speeches, but he does the work. Again, these are off the record, not quoted coaches that ESPN talked to. The other one that came up was that Acuff doesn't get rattled, makes incredible shots, has incredible reads, has a good pace. You feel his drive. You feel that he's a threat in every way. In transition, this second coach says that Acuff Jr. beats you down the court. He's the motor to everything Arkansas did on the ball in transition and pick and roll. He controls the game. He can overcome the defense concerns. That kind of ends the overwhelming blah, blah, blah about the good side of the draft and where we left off with the Kings. You liked the Kings. I don't know if you liked them as much as we're hearing here, but you liked how they did in the draft.
I gave them an A. I loved their draft. I do not buy that if you can't play defense in college and high school or whatever, that you're suddenly going to learn it and become quality at the NBA level. I don't believe that. You're going to start making more and more money. If you weren't willing to put in the time to become a quality defensive player in high school and into college in order to increase your draft stock, I certainly don't believe when you're making millions in the NBA that you're now going to suddenly say, I need to learn how to play defense. I don't buy it. Uh, you know what? The upside, I'll give him. Look, he could become another Luka, which would be fantastic. I think the guy has the potential. And I've said this to average, 25, 27 points a game. I think he will be getting there. I think he will be incredible offensively. Do I think you can win a championship with a really bad defensive player? Only if you surround with a lot of good defensive players to help carry the slack.
Now, have you said, since you made the comparison here, but you didn't really make the comparison, you said, well, maybe. Have you said that Luka will never win a championship or never with the Lakers?
I don't think Luka will ever win a championship. I didn't think he'd win it with the Mavs. I don't think he's going to win it with the Lakers. I think he has the best chance with the Lakers because of the ownership and everything they're going to do. They might be able to find enough players to play enough defense, which is not the current roster. That's the problem I have with LeBron, Reeves, and Luka on the court. There was too many open holes. You couldn't bail water fast enough out of that sinking boat. But if they can get enough to plug enough holes and play good enough defense, I think the Lakers, maybe he can.
This is not some desperate move by a Sacramento Kings fan. It isn't about the Kings. It's about Acuff Jr. as a player. Is he the kind of guy, since you said, hey, he could be maybe as good as another Luka, is he the kind of guy, like you said, with the right amount of defense surrounding him, if he translates, this is all so premature, that he's on that list? Yeah, he could win. He could win, but he's going to need the exact right circumstance like Luka.
Yes, and my other problem with Luka is through his career, it's always all about Luka. There's no one else there. We watched it with Allen Iverson. We've watched it, with Carmelo Anthony. We've watched it with all of these great basketball players, but you have to have somewhat of a supporting cast. I mean, even Jordan had Scottie Pippen and Kerr was there for a little bit. They had, Cartwright at center. They had some other guys who also, Dennis Rodman did all the dirty work, while his time with the Bulls. They had some other pieces. Luka dominates so much all by himself. And this is where I give LeBron credit. LeBron has always wanted a supporting cast with him. His complaint is when it's only him. And yes, he wants the ball to go through him, but he understands the value of all the other players contributing and having to win more as a team, even though he's leading it. I don't think Luka has fully figured out that I really need to get these other players a lot more involved in order for us to win that championship.
We have a little bit more on the Lakers and LeBron rumors, of course, because it's a day that ends in Y. But to wrap up the draft, we mentioned yesterday the teams that did really well, and I had taken the five major sources that I was using: USA Today, ESPN, NBA.com, CBSSports.com, I think NBC. As well, and put together the teams that all got A's, and they were things like the Celtics, the Grizzlies, OKC, the Spurs, the Jazz, the Warriors, the Hawks, etc. So a bunch of teams that got B's. The Kings got a B plus, down to B minus. The teams that stand out as bad, they got C's or worse. Do you right away, Steve, have a team or a couple that you go, that's worse, that's a C or worse, that's a bad draft for that NBA team?
I'm not sure the Nuggets did anything to propel themselves up the board to stay in that upper echelon. They have some players, Peyton Watson going to come back, or is he going to move on? This team has never had a lot of depth, which has been one of my complaints with it. I feel, there for, rolling back a few years, they had the best starting five in the NBA, for a couple of seasons, but they didn't have the depth. We're watching free agency roll through. Um, you got the Rockets. Theirs wasn't the best trade, but I mean, best draft, but where they were picking and what was available, you can't do a whole lot with it. So you can't knock them. And same with the Pacers. If your picks is in the second round, are you really going to find an impact player that's going to do great for you? And I know everyone loves the Lakers draft. I'm just not a huge fan. I don't think everyone's talking about Cameron Carr coming into the league, and he's a star and he's going to fit in so well, and he's going to be super productive with this team. He's going to make them so much better. I'm not convinced that that's going to happen with the Lakers. And, those are the ones. The Timberwolves, is Isaiah Evans going to contribute? What's he going to do? The Wolves, again, didn't have a first round pick. And the Knicks, I don't like. I understand what the Knicks did. The Knicks did what they had to do. They didn't want the money. They didn't want the draft slot to have to pay it. So they kept trading down to try to get some assets. But they really just traded out of the draft altogether. So you can't give them a great draft grade because they didn't really even want to pick. They had to save money to try to bring some players back and chase down a championship. And that's where draft grades for some of these teams, I'd rather have Zubac with the Pacers than a kid that, may or may not make it. So like with the Pacers, they chose to trade that pick away. Well, do I get to put Zubac into their draft picture? No, because he wasn't drafted. And that's where you have the teams that get the low grades.
You mentioned almost all the teams that got a C plus or worse. The Brooklyn Nets, they got a C plus. Indy and the Nuggets got a C, mainly for the reasons you had laid out. Houston Rockets C plus. Lakers C. Most media folks
I thought the
not
Lakers would get, because everything I heard after the first round, oh, this is such a great player, and the Lakers did so well here, and he's going to have such an immediate impact. And I'm like, I don't see it.
I'll choose what ESPN wrote. Cameron Carr, who's 21 years old, spent 3 years in college. He was a reliable 3-point shooter at Baylor. As Los Angeles reworks its roster around Luka, experienced floor spacers on rookie contracts are worth their weight in gold. Speaking of weight, though, Carr is unusually light for a wing, just 184 pounds. He will struggle on defense unless he adds strength. Luka's teams have been most successful when he's surrounded by true 3-and-D wings. Carr has not earned that label. So
and what was that sentence? He will struggle on defense. What's my already big complaint with the Lakers? And their only draft pick in this fits into that: poor defensively.
The Knicks got a C. The Timberwolves got a C minus. The Pelicans got a D. And the only team that didn't make a pick, the Trailblazers, got an F, because you can't pass the class if you don't show up for school. So that was the one big F in the draft. But otherwise, he would have most of them. A couple other rumors that continue to linger. Things moved quickly, obviously, between the Hornets when they traded LaMelo Ball to the Minnesota Timberwolves yesterday morning. Now, one of the big names, Kawhi Leonard, remains a focal point for team owner Steve Ballmer and the Clippers. But that hasn't stopped the reported trade interest from other teams happening. The Warriors asked about Kawhi back in February. They checked in. Ballmer did not want to move him. With the Boston Celtics having some interest in acquiring Giannis from the Bucks, Jaylen Brown was rumored to be at the center of the return package. Does all of that put together something that we should be looking at? Brown has 3 years left on a 5-year, $285 million contract extension. Brian Windhurst said this morning on ESPN there is another list with other teams that they'll be talking to. I would believe there's a very good chance Jaylen Brown is elsewhere to start the season. I think we already mentioned yesterday, Steve, you said he ain't playing for Boston next year. The Lakers, reports Windhurst, would greatly benefit from acquiring a highly talented center to complement Luka, which is what Luka said yesterday he wants. He's actually come out and said, that's what I need.
Yes, they do. And you know, Ayton is flashes of brilliance and a whole lot of nothing with them. Jaylen Brown, it caught me when you were talking the Kawhi Leonard, and I know many teams, the Pistons, are looking at him, etc. But when you said that he'd be the centerpiece for a trade for Kawhi, that means the Celtics would include more. I wouldn't trade Brown straight up for Kawhi, and then I wouldn't even think about adding anything else, which how far out of favor and how ruptured is this relationship that they're looking as we got to add something to Jaylen Brown in addition to even just get Kawhi Leonard, who's getting up there in age, has been battling injuries for years. Yes, when he's healthy, he is a great ball player, but Jaylen Brown is always a great ball player. I heard you saying that as you were reading that, going, how fractured is this relationship that they're just trying to move him on?
Now that you completely crapped on the Lakers, let me give you the other part of Windhorst's report this morning. With Austin Reeves set to sign his 4-year, $185 million contract, obviously, LeBron's next. What do they do with LeBron? What does LeBron do, etc.? If he does leave, although everybody still thinks he wants to or will wind up with the Lakers, we know it's the Warriors and the Cavs are the only other teams that are mentioned. Windhurst this morning said the likelier destination is Cleveland. And if James does not or isn't asked to return to the Lakers, then it would be to the Cavaliers through a sign and trade deal where the Lakers would love to get center Jarrett Allen in return. The Lakers would sit up at attention, says Windhurst, that they would sign and trade LeBron for Jarrett Allen. Obviously, LeBron would have to want to sign with the Cavs. And quote, was that an oh no from you about
I
Jarrett
love
Allen?
Jarrett Allen. He's one of my favorite centers that are out there. He's willing to do the dirty work. He doesn't need to score the points. He's tough to contain. He can play. And I just going to the Lakers would hurt my feelings in the sense of I don't want him on the Lakers. And then I look at the Cavs going, look, you ruin your team and your chemistry by bringing in Harden, and now you're going to bring LeBron back. You know, 1, shame on you. 2, shame on me. 3, this would be 3. And I don't know if you can really say that on the air of, you know, how stupid this is, in my opinion, from Cleveland and ownership. You can't go down this road. I don't care what it is. And as far as the Lakers, it's the off season. Can't you just not answer the phone when LeBron's agent calls? Look, we're not answering.
Yes.
And then we're going to lock the facility. You don't have a key. You can't come in. You can't track me down. Hopefully, chances are he knows where I live. But look, I'm out of town. I'm on vacation. And just stay away. Look, LeBron, we want no communications with you. We're going to hide because we don't want you back. Go to Golden State.
Another item to the list of why no one should ever hire Steve Mickelson as one of their executives to run a sports
Rob
team.
and Steve continue next, only on the radnetwork.com.
Longtime maggots will remember Greg from MAP, M-A-P, as in Maximum Athletic Performance, which guides you to better output through better ingredients, also known as nutrition. Greg has been on the Rad Show many times and will be again, as he simplifies nutrition and helps us all understand what actually works when it comes to fueling our bodies, almost all of which can be found at maptrition.com. Every product is formulated with clinical precision and backed by science and purpose, and maptrition.com has something for every fitness level, even those of us who barely have a fitness level. With nearly 20 years as a nutritionist and a specialization in sports nutrition, Greg works with athletes and everyday individuals to optimize performance, energy, and overall health through smarter fueling strategies, all of which starts at maptrition.com. At the very least, we should all be taking daily multivitamins, and Greg has his formulated for exactly what a man or woman's body needs. Protein is in, but maybe instead of getting yours from mac and cheese with extra protein, you get it from maptrition.com. And of course, all things workout, training, and exercise are available as well. From pre-workout to creatine and other muscle builders to recovery supplements and more, all at maptrition.com. From morning breakfast essentials to post-workout recovery and everything in between, maptrition.com's full range of supplements, proteins, and wellness products are built to power your journey from start to finish. Check out all the products and find what's right for you and order it shipped to you all at maptrition.com. That's maptrition.com. Longtime advertiser Sue Berry, that's Berry with an A, is more important now than ever. Sue and her team have been serving Northern Nevada and the outlying areas for 30 years, and her experience in both commercial and residential lending is vital, as every day we're bombarded with news of interest rates, the market, the economy, and a bunch of other stuff that Sue can actually make sense of while everyone else's eyes glaze over. Now remember, it's Sue Berry with an A, B-A-R-R-Y, SueBerry.com. Most people think berry is spelled like a fruit or Halle Berry, but no, it's Sue Berry with an A, like soul singer Barry White's first name.
I've heard people say,
stop that. Sue is a broker versus a retail lender, which means she can shop over 150 different lenders to get you the very best rate possible. And on average, someone who uses a broker like Sue saves over $10,000 per loan, which includes refinancing. And if you have a rate at 6.5% or higher, call Sue for a free quote now on a refinance. Sue Berry and her incredible team from Barrett Financial can be found at SueBerry.com. That's Berry with an A. I've been working with Sue and recommending her to you for years. All you need to do is call her now so she can get you pre-approved. Just call your residential and commercial lending expert, Sue Berry, at 775-843-9983. Oh, Rob, stop. You're going too fast. What was the number again? 775-843-9983. Or just head to SueBerry.com. The number's right there. Berry is B-A-R-R-Y. Sue Berry with an A.com. That's Sue Berry, B-A-R-R-Y.com. SueBerry.com.
Disclaimer, Sue Berry, NMLS number 366040, Barrett Financial Group, LLC, NMLS number 181106, Nevada 5091, Equal Housing Opportunity.
Opinions? Check. Facts, stats, and insight? Check. Wild overreactions and made-up disagreements? Sorry, you've come to the wrong place. This is the home of two guys sitting around just talking sports. The Rob and Steve Show on the Rad Network.
Couple of NFL notes, nothing groundbreaking, just a couple things wanted to check in on. First, Caleb Williams, the quarterback for the Chicago Bears, after he had his, 9 fourth-quarter comebacks last year, attempted to trademark the word Iceman, because he has ice water in his veins, and it's cold in Chicago. Now, there's two levels to this. There's the business side, boring. Sports fans are like, you're not George Gervin. You're not the Iceman. You can't. And if you don't know who that is, look it up. But there is a business side to it. Williams had applied for trademarks in multiple categories, including clothing, athletic bags, water bottles, sporting goods, a website, and entertainment services in addition to clothing, so that he could launch his whole, like Jordan has Jumpman, Jordan has Air Jordan, Caleb Williams wanted to have Iceman. Never mind NBA Hall of Famer George Gervin, who is Iceman, and who has applied for, and it's still sitting there, a trademark for the term Iceman just as a person, not so much as a business entity, which is where Caleb Williams got in trouble because he has been given the boot. The United States Patent and Trademark Office has refused Caleb Williams' application. He can appeal, saying it has too much similarity and a likelihood of confusion, not to George Gervin, but in a trademark filed 40 years ago by Lacrosse Footwear for insulated boots. Lacrosse is an Oregon-based footwear company who owns the trademark Iceman for the name for one of its boots and boot liners. That's the whole point of getting the trademark, so that a guy like Caleb can't come along and steal it. And so for now, the Gervin attempt to trademark Iceman and Iceman 44 both remain under review with the USPTO, but that was more of a protect my name. I don't want to create it. I just want it protected as the guy who was nicknamed Iceman, whatever. For now, Caleb, come on. Just get a better nickname. I care more as a sports fan. You're not the Iceman. There's only one of those.
No, he's not. And George Gervin, everyone knows him. I mean, that'd be trying to like trademark Magic. I mean, there's only one Magic Johnson. We all know, it's Irvin, but everyone, it's Magic, and move forward from there. And being the boot companies own the trademark for 40 years, I find it hard to believe that they're going to sell it now. We've been paying for this for 40 years.
Right.
It would take a lot of money, and especially if they're still using it. So yeah,
Yes.
find something else. And I'm sorry, I don't know how many more games he's going to need to win late for me to start calling, Caleb Iceman Williams. I
A million.
don't think I'll
No.
be getting there.
No, not going to happen. The Brandon Ayuk story continues. He wants to be a member of the Washington Commanders. 2 days after posting a video to Instagram in which he shouted, "Go Commanders!" The wide receiver posted 2 more videos on Wednesday. In the first, he holds an NFL football that has a Commanders logo, and a graphic on the video says the best sport in the world, the best league in the world, and the best team in the world. The next part of his story includes a picture with a graphic that says, "And I almost forgot, the best wide receiver in the world." No appearance by Jerry Rice is made. He then makes a proclamation about his intentions in the second Commanders related video, in which he says, quote, "Tell them boys," which that's a nickname for Dallas, not the Niners, but whatever. "Tell them boys, cut me today, and I'll sign with the Commanders tomorrow." This all led to a front page story on ProFootballTalk.com last night with the headline, "Is anyone advising Brandon Ayuk?" Something we've been asking on this show for weeks. He's either doing this on the advice of his agent, who should be fired, or against his agent's advice. And if it's the latter, when does the agent fire the client like Drew Rosenhaus did to Ayuk 6 years ago? Because he also severed ties with Antonio Brown, because Antonio Brown, same thing, acting irrationally. And Ayuk went to Ryan Williams of Athletes First after Rosenhaus dumped him. Anyways, that's just the latest on the Ayuk. It's just such a joke.
And how is he not just costing him money? I mean, as you said, we've been questioning this for years. Does the agent want a contract so he can get paid so badly that he's overlooking everything else in this? And the part that I just keep saying, this part riles me up. All he's got to do is show up for one day of practice, and he forces the 49ers' hands, and he wouldn't do it when they had their mandatories. He did not show up, which means he hasn't listened to anything his agent has said for any good advice, which the agent should either, go have him committed or something, but really it's go get him fired. But I think he needs help.
I realize, and by the way, there are people, and we don't mean to, and we're not in any way dismissing the mental health side, because there are people that are saying, wait a minute.
Yes.
Is there something more here? And my question back to you, Steve, would be, let's for now take the mental health part out of it. We don't know. We certainly hope if that's a factor, he gets help. If it's football only, and he's a little goofy, we won't make him kooky, we'll make him goofy. At what point does he become too toxic for even the Commanders? The wide receiver number is through the roof. Ayuk hasn't played in how many seasons? 2, 3 now. He's posting all these dopey. He didn't even repost my favorite. They just mad because they stupid video. When do even the Commanders go, yeah, no thanks? I mean, he's got to be close.
A couple of things on that. One, I think he's already passed it. I
Okay.
really do. And the things that I'm saying are, sorry to go the other route, something's going on here. I don't want to see something ugly happen. Somebody needs to step in because he is not acting normally under any circumstances. To the part that I think is just as disappointing, and I haven't heard anyone say anything about this. And Rob, you touched on it. Where are the Commanders? Do you know how easily it would be to step out and say, look, we have our roster. We have no interest in Brandon Ayuk at this time. And just put it to bed, put it to rest. Stop it. Look, Brandon, we're not signing you. Move on. But you don't hear anything from the Commanders, which leads me to believe that there may be some truth to that. And then why are the Commanders really entertaining that idea? Because I think the ship sailed. I think he's got to do something and be pretty successful at it before I would give him another shot in the NFL.
Back to the ick side of it, the mental health side of it. The way I gauge these things a lot of times is I ask myself, would I be surprised if? And so the thing that the analogy I use here is no, I wouldn't be surprised if Brandon Ayuk pulled a Britney. Remember when Britney Spears was teetering, everything was going wrong with her life, and out of nowhere shaves her head. And all the TMZ cameras are there. It's the biggest story the next day. Yeah, I know it's a pop star and all that, but it's like she shaved her head. I wouldn't be surprised if Brandon Ayuk did something, whatever the equally wacky thing is, and God forbid what you're alluding to, something worse. Because he is out there. He's off the rails, at least in his public presentation, which is always scary because it makes you wonder what's going on privately if this is what he's showing us. So,
which is, where's his support? Where's his family, his friends? Where's somebody, anyone advising him that he will listen to, because this isn't normal.
Speaking of the ick, what we try to do is leave the ick at the door and talk about how it affects football. Detroit Lions cornerback Terrion Arnold is facing multiple felony charges after he was arrested in Tampa Wednesday in connection with a robbery and kidnapping back in February. Police say that Arnold was actually the primary conspirator, accused of coordinating and directing the co-defendants to lure the three men to an apartment where an assault occurred, a targeted armed robbery that took place shortly after midnight February 4th, during which three male victims were pistol whipped, held at gunpoint, and robbed. I mean, that's a brutally violent form of like a home invasion sort of thing. You start pistol whipping, that's where you're smacking them across the face and the head with your gun. Arnold turned himself in Wednesday, was taken into custody Wednesday night. The Lions, in a statement, said what teams should say in all of these instances. In my opinion, they're aware of it. Let the legal process play out. Shut up. Good for the Lions so far. Arnold was approached by reporters about the off-field incident during the Lions veteran minicamp a week ago, declined to comment, saying he just wanted to focus on football. The Lions drafted him out of Alabama with the 24th pick back in the 2024 draft. Yesterday, he had a hearing and was ordered held without bail until a pretrial detention hearing, which is scheduled for Monday, where prosecutors will argue that he should remain in custody without bail until trial, which would pretty much mean no season. So we focus on the football side, Steve. Losing cornerback Terrion Arnold for your team, the Detroit Lions, football-wise. However long he's gone, we know it's a distraction. How big a deal?
It's big. The Lions secondary wasn't very good in the first place. There's talks, Kirby Joseph may not play again. Brian Branch is still out. They're talking he won't be back until Thanksgiving, the end of November. They got some great wide receivers with the Vikings. I mean, how are you going to slow them down? The Packers, the Bears are coming, had a great season last year. This news was tough as a Lions fan because where I was confident that look, we're a Super Bowl contender here. We're one of the top teams. I'm now asking, how are we going to cover anybody? And we better score on every drive because I'm not sure we're going to stop anyone. Um, I think it was a big blow to the Lions. If the Lions knew about this and to the extent, then I'd kind of go at Brad Holmes a little bit, Dan Campbell. And you didn't address it in the free agency. You didn't address it in the draft. If you even thought this was a possibility, how did you not even consider what might happen? And as you said, I mean, you got to let the whole thing. He's innocent until proven guilty. You got to let the whole thing play out. We don't have the facts. It's pure speculation, and I hope it's not. It's not true. Um, but as a fan, this is the off-field things that gets a team in trouble, and the Lions are facing this right now. And if any of this turns out to be true, Lions are in trouble.
Back to the off the field ick part, just for those of you going, well, what's the story? The story is, according to the police investigation, this all began after personal property belonging to Terry and Arnold and others was stolen on February 1st. Remember, the incident was the 4th, from an Airbnb that Arnold had rented in Largo, Florida, and periodically stayed at with the 6 co defendants. Arnold and others reported property loss totaling more than $250,000 on February 3rd. And then the 4th is when this incident happens. And the state attorney's office says that Arnold is accused of, quote, orchestrating the kidnapping and robbery hours after reporting the missing items that I referenced to the Largo Police Department, end quote. They're making the case that he was the brains of the operation to get his stolen stuff back. And in the process, 3 of these 6 co-defendants were pistol whipped, etc. As Steve said, we don't know the story. Is this just the equivalent of off the field justice? These are just dudes that are taking care of business. Doesn't mean he should be involved in it. They're accusing him of being the mastermind, which is bigger. We'll see where it plays out. As you said, regardless if it affects the Lions on the field, it's not a small thing. Last thing from the NFL for today. The NFL draft was a fixture at Radio City Music Hall in New York before it began moving to other locations a decade ago, something I still don't understand other than obviously money and such. They take it on the field and you're supposed to care because it's in your city. Well, the NFL has announced dates and details for the 2027 NFL draft to be held in Washington, D.C. You can make your plans right now, Steve. The 3-day draft will begin on Thursday, April 29th and continue through May 1st in Washington, D.C. Next year.
I don't understand why they moved it back a week. I mean, I don't know
Right.
if it's hotel accommodations, but why'd we go back a week? And as a person who has spent 40 years working in the sportsbook industry, we all know the first Saturday of May is always the Kentucky Derby. Now I got to deal with Kentucky Derby and the draft. It takes away the fan part of me of, where I told you I'm one of those who sits and watches. And that's not going to happen because I'm going to be dealing with that on both Friday and Saturday. So very disappointed that they moved it back a week to me, and for no apparent reason.
Yeah, no stated reason for sure.
Rob and Steve continue next, only on the radnetwork.com.
The first time Corey walked into my home, I came around the corner, extended my right hand to shake it, and said to him, "Wow, you're big." And that would be Corey from quickdumpsters.com. Quick is spelled wrong intentionally. Quick, Q-U-I-K dumpsters.com. That's quickdumpsters.com. Corey's yet another maggot launching his own locally owned and operated business, and boy, did I need him, and really we all do. Things pile up, you get frustrated, you keep saying, we need to make a dump run. Pretty soon it's more than a dump run, and now you need to rent a truck or have one of those ugly upside down box cars parked in front of your house that you fill up yourself. Or you do like I did, you call Corey at quickdumpsters.com. In my case, my house had fallen into complete disarray as my late wife Christina had lost her 2-year battle with congestive heart failure, and amongst the many things left were gathering her things and finding what to donate and what had to just go in that pile of stuff where we were both going, why did we ever buy this? And it all could have been so overwhelming had Corey not just walked in, taken charge, and removed dozens of boxes of total junk, unusable dog kennels, desks that were falling apart, a worthless old smoker that couldn't be fixed, bag after bag of crap, and I can't remember what else. He was quick, spelled wrong, Q-U-I-K, quiet and clean. Well, he wasn't clean. I mean, he was. But I'm not commenting on his hygiene. I meant that his work was clean. He swept everything when he was done, and the house looked like he'd never even been there. Corey's the real deal, and I couldn't be more proud and happy to call him a brand new advertiser. His story is incredible, his dedication unmatched, and his motivation to succeed larger than he is, and that's saying something. Quotes are free. You don't even have to have them over to your house. Just send him some pics or videos, and you'll get your price, schedule your day and time, and watch someone else get that junk out of your house. Go to quickdumpsters.com. Quick, Q-U-I-K, dumpsters.com. Quick, Q-U-I-K, dumpsters.com. Longtime maggots will remember Greg from MAP, M-A-P, as in Maximum Athletic Performance, which guides you to better output through better ingredients, also known as nutrition. Greg has been on the Rad Show many times and will be again, as he simplifies nutrition and helps us all understand what actually works when it comes to fueling our bodies, almost all of which can be found at maptrition.com. Every product is formulated with clinical precision and backed by science and purpose, and maptrition.com has something for every fitness level, even those of us who barely have a fitness level. With nearly 20 years as a nutritionist and a specialization in sports nutrition, Greg works with athletes and everyday individuals to optimize performance, energy, and overall health through smarter fueling strategies, all of which starts at maptrition.com. At the very least, we should all be taking daily multivitamins, and Greg has his formulated for exactly what a man or woman's body needs. Protein is in, but maybe instead of getting yours from mac and cheese with extra protein, you get it from maptrition.com. And of course, all things workout, training, and exercise are available as well. From pre-workout to creatine and other muscle builders to recovery supplements and more, all at maptrition.com. From morning breakfast essentials to post-workout recovery and everything in between, maptrition.com's full range of supplements, proteins, and wellness products are built to power your journey from start to finish. Check out all the products and find what's right for you and order it shipped to you all at maptrition.com. That's maptrition.com.
This is Sports Talk, how it should be. Rob and Steve do it right. They actually talk sports. Email the show at ras@theradnetwork.com.
Before we get to on the field from last night and the weekend coming, one more note from the Major League Baseball Players Association as they are in the process of dealing with collective bargaining negotiations. As we said yesterday, hey, at least both sides are throwing things out there. Even if the other side does what the players did yesterday and goes, nah, we're not even going to consider that. At least they're talking. Why the players don't just say, fine, we'll give you the cap and you're going to give us everything else, I still don't know. But yesterday, Major League Baseball proposed a ban on prop betting on individual players to help what we've been talking about for years, Steve, they claim, combat harassment from disgruntled gamblers. Guy on the Dodgers, I think it was, right? His wife and kids were being threatened on social media again recently because he blew a game or something. We've talked about it with golfers. You've heard stories. You're in the industry. I'm trying to find out the angle that isn't about player safety, because I always wonder whether it comes from the players or the leagues. But during collective bargaining negotiations, the Players Association has suggested that a prohibition is pursued on prop betting at sports books and with daily fantasy operators. Like in California, that you still can only do basically prop bets if you're using DraftKings or whatever. And this is the over-under number of touchdowns, number of yards that a particular player will get. The ban would include all prop bets on individual players placed before or during a game, including popular offerings such as the odds for a player to hit a home run. The NCAA has been lobbying against individual player prop bets as well. And yesterday, asked the Indiana Gaming Commission to consider banning such waivers on college athletes. Why?
Well, the gambling aspect, we see it with Sorsby, etc. The thing that you know, very few people realize, and it's kind of a little bit of that peek behind the curtain. What changed with the different leagues and why they were no longer against gambling and they allowed it to become legal on sports? Well, because the leagues ended up buying the data feeds which supply all of that information. Well, all of these player props and all of that come from these data feeds which the leagues for the most part own. Are they make money off of this? Are they going to ban it because players are getting harassed and then that's going to cost them money because these services subscribe to those data feeds? I, as a bookmaker, I can hang the game, the lines, the over and under, the point spreads, and all that all on my own. I don't need data feeds. We don't need any of that. But all the proposition bets and all of those things, the in-game wagering, have become such a major part of the industry, and that's where everything has shifted. That's what the fans bet on. That's what they like. They want all these different props, and that's what the data feeds. And the reason the sports books need the data feeds is to be able to offer those, because I can't sit down and make over and unders for every player's hits and walks and strikeouts and earned runs and all of those different things. So that all comes from the data feeds, which come from and are owned by the different leagues. So I don't see that happening because I believe that would cut a part of their revenue source away from these leagues.
But why, other than the harassment angle, why are the players the ones that are suggesting it in Major League Baseball?
Because they're tired of getting the threats and the, hey,
Really?
Venmo
Okay.
me, I lost $50 and here you need to. And I think they're just, it elevated when they allowed the player props. I have to believe in every sport that harassment and the things that they hear from the fans hasn't turned into, something, your birthday, your mother, whatever it is, and it's turned into these things. And I think the players have grown tired of it. And I don't blame them. I mean, as you said, the Dodger pitcher, Tanner Scott, I mean, he was getting like death threats to him and his family. This is way overboard. It's still a game, people, no matter what you try to say. I'm as big a sports fan as is out there, but it's still a game. Understand that. If I choose to lose my money, it's entertainment dollars. I don't go to the movie theater, watch a bad movie. And yes, I watched Howard the Duck, which was one of the worst movies ever in history, and paid for it to watch in a theater. But I didn't walk up to the ticket counter after, demand my money. Give me back my money. I spent $3.50 on this crap bag movie. And it was terrible. I want my money back. You accept it. It's entertainment money. You got a bad product and you move on.
One of the few like big disconnects between us is I love movies and you don't watch them.
Which is probably goes back to Howard the Duck.
Well, I was wondering, was Howard the Duck as a result of you having kids? Because why the hell did you even go to Howard the Duck?
No, I was in college and it came out and no kids. It was like, I want to say like 4 or 5 of us college guys. And we would go to the movies like once a week and a different person would pick, okay, what movie are we going to? And one of the guys in the group picked Howard the Duck. And I knew going in, I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. I think I'd take my chance on every single other movie out there. We went to it. And the sad part is it didn't even meet my awful expectations. It was even worse.
We've uncovered the trauma. You're right. It is Howard the Duck that ruined movies for you, because that truly was, you were not overstating it, one of the worst major films ever made and released. To the diamond. The Red Sox beat the Yankees 6-3 on Thursday night. Who thought that would be said? Aroldis Chapman bounced back after 2 losses, got his 15th save of the season, hopefully on his way to the A's. Yankees starter Cam Schlittler is at 8-4, lowered his ERA to 1.62, but left with the Yankees trailing 4-2. He allowed 4 runs, none earned. That's how his ERA went down. 5 hits while striking out 9. The Yankees have a 2-game lead over the Tampa Bay Rays in the American League East. That's where all the action is. They continue with Boston tonight. The Yankees are throwing Will Warren at Peyton Tolle.
I like Peyton Tolle. He's one of the bright spots for this team. He's 3-5. His ERA is a little over 3. His WHIP's a little above 1.0, but he has struggled. Connolly early had a good game last night. He's been struggling as of late. And they've been the two bright spots for the Red Sox, bringing up some good young pitching. I'm hoping Tolle can get back on track. He's the guy, several weeks ago I said looks like a 38-year-old truck driver, and he's only like 23 because he has that big bushy mustache out there. Red Sox got lucky. I mean, Schlittler threw a really good game. Yankees had 4 errors. That led to, portion of that 4 unearned runs in the 5th or 6th inning. Durbin, one of the guys I've been very critical of. He's the guy they traded Kyle Harrison for to the Brewers. Had a big hit, homer into the screen, which put him ahead. But the Yankees and Red Sox, it's like the Giants and the Dodgers. Doesn't matter where they sit in the standings. It's always going to be, hopefully, a great series because both of the teams play really hard. Glad the Red Sox got a win here, but the Yankees are the better team. The Red Sox are in disarray, as we've said. And I'm just hoping that Tolle can continue a strong season and get fully back on track to where he has been, earlier on in the season.
So with the Yankees losing, they've lost 1 in a row. The Tampa Bay Rays have won 2 in a row. They're 2 full games back of the Yankees. They're going to host the Arizona Diamondbacks, who are one of those many teams that are looking at those wild card standings going, well, we ain't catching the Dodgers, but we're only 2 games back in that National League wild card. The Phillies have it right now, so the Cubs have it, and the Cardinals have it. Those are your 3 if everything ended today. Padres a half game back. Marlins a game and a half back. Diamondbacks 2 games back. And they're going to play a whole weekend with Tampa Bay. It starts tonight in Florida. Zach Gallen throwing for Arizona against Nick Martinez.
Yeah, Zach Gallen just hasn't been the same pitcher this year. He's really struggled a lot. Nick Martinez has had a solid season. He's been one of the surprises with this Tampa Bay team. He's 6-2 on the season. He's 1-0 in his last 3, but he has been hit a little bit in his last 3 as his ERA is 4.5. And to put it in perspective, his ERA for the season is still only sitting at 2.7. Tampa Bay has been really good at home this season. This is being played, as you mentioned, in Florida. They're 28-12 at home as they don't even play 500 baseball on the road. And Arizona has also played better at home than on the road. This is one of those games that I got to be leaning Tampa Bay a little bit here. I think they're playing good. They had that game yesterday that we had on TV against KC where they took the no-hitter into the 9th inning. And this is one of those that matches up much better for Tampa.
You earlier we were talking about the Mets firing their manager today, finally, and we were talking about the Red Sox and the Phillies having done so earlier and the Mattingly job that he's done, and you basically handed the Phillies a playoff spot and said it's just a matter of do they get the wild card, do they actually put some heat on the Braves. The Phillies, they have the top wild card spot by a game and a half right now, and then you go Cubs, Cardinals, Padres, Marlins, and I mentioned the Diamondbacks are 2 back, the Pirates 2.5, the Nationals are 3 back right now. A couple weeks from the All-Star break, Steve, when you look at that National League and the wild card, you've given the Phillies a spot. The other 2, Cubs, Cardinals, Padres, Marlins, Diamondbacks, Pirates, Nationals, all within 3. Who you leaning? Who you liking? Who you I mean, the Cubs, you've said multiple times you like the Cubs. You think they'll be there. You keeping them there, and then what else?
I still do think the Cubs will be there. And it wouldn't shock me if they found a way to put a package together for Tarek Skubal, and he ended up with the Cubs. For that 3rd slot, I'll be honest, I'm really hoping the Nationals find a way. But oh my gosh, how do you blow 3 games in a row to the Phillies in the 9th inning? I mean, we talked about they can score runs. But this bullpen has just destroyed the team right now. Hopefully they can come back. I would think that AJ Preller is going to do enough because he is always in buy mode. I think the Padres, and at a certain point, Manny Machado's got to start hitting. They have to be getting a little bit more out of their starting pitchers. Maybe Walker Buehler, who seems to have turned the corner, can start getting it done. I'm leaning the Padres for that third wild card spot in the National League.
Since you mentioned it, the Phillies rallied from an early 5-run deficit, beat the Nationals 10-5 last night. The Phillies came from behind for a third straight game, winning the series by scoring 15 runs in the 9th inning against
just the ninth inning, no other inning.
Yes,
just the
right. That's it. That's it. Against the worst bullpen in the majors statistically. And the Phillies are 4 games back of the Braves. They are 9 games over 500. The Phillies have won 7 of their last 10. There's those Nationals that Steve's like, I want to. They're right at 500. They've lost 3 in a row. The Nationals will be at Baltimore for the weekend. The Phillies are throwing Zach Wheeler tonight at the new managerial Mets.
Yeah, the Phillies coming off 3 straight come from behind big wins. I mean, down 5-0 yesterday. And they get the Mets in total disarray, just fired their manager. Who's going to fill out the lineup card? I know we got an interim manager, but this is one of those. I never expect the manager in the very first game, day of when the manager got fired, to be ready to go. So, and Zach Wheeler has been so good. He had that one bad outing where he gave up 4 homers, in one start. Outside of that one outing, he has been lights out. The Zach Wheeler that we know on the season, he's sitting at 7-1. One of the big reasons the Phillies have turned this around is ERA is just over 2. I expect big things from him against this Mets team. Now, it was good to see that Soto was back in the lineup yesterday. If you looked at the box score, but Francisco Lindor was back out again of that lineup. I'd like to see both of them in there. Simeon is out also for the Mets, so he's not playing right now for him either due to injury. Just the Mets are a train wreck.
Soto and Lindor, by the way, have played 2 games together this year. 2. Meanwhile, the A's scored 4 times with 2 outs in the 9th inning. They pulled a reverse A's on the Giants and rallied for a 9-6 win. The A's had led. See, they were the A's before they weren't. They were up 2-1. Hey, let's hand it off to the second worst bullpen in the majors. Sure enough, 3-run triple, 2-run homer. San Francisco goes up 6-2, but the A's ultimately did win. They will head into the weekend a game and a half behind the Mariners. They are tied with the Astros. They are tied with the Rangers. They're all a game and a half back. The A's will continue in Anaheim tonight. They're throwing the other pitcher worth a damn. JT Ginn is at Walbert Arena against the Angels for the weekend.
And as an A's fan, you had to be saying, thank you. We keep doing it the other way. Thank you, Killian of the Giants, because the Giants bullpen is bad as well. This is a great matchup. I'm looking forward to watching this game. JT Ginn, Walbert Arena, 2 really good young arms. Urena's learning at the major league level. The Angels did this earlier than the A's did and said, look, we're going to bring him up. He's been really good as of late. He's sitting at 5-4 on the season. His ERA, believe it or not, is sitting around 2.5. His last 3 starts, he's 2-1. His ERA is 1.59. He has a live arm. He's going to have some clunkers, but this has been one of the only bright spots for the Angels so far. And JT Ginn, he's been a big bright spot. It didn't start off with the team out of camp, but he's 5-4 ERA of 3. He gives solid starts game in and game out. And a little nod to Jeffrey Springs because I didn't think his outing was that bad yesterday. I actually thought it was a pretty good outing. If that Jeffrey Springs could show up on a consistent basis, I would be okay with him. The problem is what we've seen that guy once in his last 11 starts. That's where my complaint with him is. But this should be a really good game. Looking forward to it. The A's are a better team here. Just go out on the road, find a way to win. And the A's have played better on the road.
So the A's sit in that 3-way tie for second, a game and a half behind the Mariners, who lost to the Pirates 5-1 yesterday. The Astros, who Steve been telling us, keep an eye on, 2-1 over the Tigers last night. Houston has won 3 in a row, 7 of its last 9. They're within a game and a half now of the Mariners in the AL West. The A's will take care of the Angels or be with them all weekend long. Texas is at Toronto, but Steve, we got another one with those battles of the firsties where the Mariners are going into Cleveland against the Hawardians, and tonight they throw Louis Castillo against Joey Cantillo.
Yeah, Castillo's finally coming around. He had really struggled this year. He's been much, much better in his last 3 outings, even though his record shows is 0-1. But to give the comparison, he's 1-5 on the season with an ERA over 5. But in his last 3, he's 0-1, but his ERA is sitting at 1.8. He's turning back into the pitcher Castillo that we've known. Cantillo is 6-3. He's finding a way to win. Cleveland, though, right now, they have to put it together. They're in that division. The White Sox are right on their heels, but Cleveland 4-6 in their last 10 is not playing the best baseball. And this will be one of those series I will be watching to see how it goes. And Seattle's just glad they're out of Pittsburgh. I mean, the Pirates took it to them. They did win 1 of the 3 games, but the Pirates handed it to them in the last 2 games. I think winning 11-1 2 days ago and 5-1 last night.
White Sox will be home all weekend, and they're hosting Kansas City. They're in a statistical tie with the Hawardians. It's just that Cleveland has a win and a loss more than Chicago. And that puts us into that same situation in the American League, Steve, when you get to the wild card and everybody looking. Right now, Tampa Bay, it's Tampa Bay or the Yankees. We know they're getting one. That's not even up for debate. The Hawardians, or whoever doesn't win the Central, looks pretty solid. The Hawardians have a 3-game lead to be the next wild card, and then it gets dicey. A tie between the Astros, the Blue Jays, the Rangers, and the A's, and then the Orioles, Twins, Tigers. It goes down and down, and even the Angels are only 5.5 back. They got 11 teams to go through. You've said from the beginning, Steve, the other wild card ain't coming out of the West. The Western team wins, and that's it. Although, right now, the Astros would get that other wild card by 0.001 percentage. When you look at the American League, same question. You look overall. If you're going to say Rays or Yankees, if you're going to say Guardians, White Sox, who's the third team? Who are you leaning towards?
I think Toronto gets in. I think they're going to do enough in the second half. I know they're 3 games below 500, but the whole American League's 3 games plus below 500. You're not chasing anything there. Just put together a winning streak. So I do believe that the East is going to put 3 with Toronto as well. Baltimore and Boston just can't get out of their own way, so I can't see there. I think you're going to have to win your division in the Central and probably in the West. I'd like to see a wild card team, and if I had to pick one, I would say I think the wild card team may come out of the West because I do think Houston's going to make a run. I'm hoping the A's can find some pitch in there. I'm kind of discounting Texas. They can't hit. And this will be 3 seasons in a row they can't hit. And as you know, we always talk about the run differential, and we talked about it yesterday with only the 3 teams in the American League with a positive number. To give you a comparison, there's 4 NL East teams with a positive. So there's more teams in one division in the National League than the entire American League with a positive run differential. Just shows how bad this American League has been this whole season.
Yeah. In the West, Mariners, Astros, Athletics, Rangers. You're still on the Astros.
Mm-hmm.
You'd like to see the A's make a run, but you had Seattle running away with it a while ago, and now they're just kind of sitting there. By the way, to your point of the teams over 500, there's 15 teams in the American League. There are 4 over 500. The Mariners are 500, and then there's 4 teams over 500 in a league of 15. That's how underwater the American League is. right now, which we talked a little bit about yesterday. A couple more games just to highlight. You mentioned the Padres. You like them in that National League West wild card. What a series. You mentioned the what was it? The Cleveland series, I think, is the one you're watching that you brought up. I mean, we can watch multiple series. Don't get me wrong. Here's a big one: Dodgers and Padres. It starts tonight in San Diego. Sasaki against Bueller.
And I will have this game on. We record all of the Padre games in this household because of my wife. Yeah. And Sasaki has really turned it around. His record for the season does not show how good he has been as of late. He's 3-4 on the season. His ERA is almost 5. He did have a bad outing. I think it was in his last outing that it got really pounded. But prior to that, his prior 4 or 5 outings were really good. Vasquez has been that pleasant surprise for the Padres, just like Robleski's been for the Dodgers. He's sitting at 6-5. His ERA is a little 4, but he has struggled in his last, I want to say 4 or 5 outings. So he's kind of fallen off the rails a little bit. His ERA in his last 3 is sitting at 9. His whip is up over 2. So he needs to straighten it out. That is one of those pitchers that the Padres need to get back on track if they're really going to make a run at that wild card.
Why did you say Vasquez? Bueller's throwing tonight.
Oh, okay. I was looking at that.
I was just curious.
And I'll hit on Bueller. Bueller's been really good.
Okay.
On my covers stats sheet, which is one of the sources I use and I look at, it shows Vasquez is thrown, but Bueller's been really good. He's really questionable. He's finally coming around. He's learning the art of pitching. He'd always gotten by throwing hard, but he has really put together, I want to say about 4 or 5 quality starts in a row. He's stepping up, and they need him to be. They need him to be more of that front of the line rotation, and get quality innings from him. And hopefully he will stay on track and doesn't get beat by the long ball, which can cause him some problems, and also a few too many walks. But his tendency is to give up that big inning. He'll throw like first 3 and dominate, and then he gets a little trouble in the 4th. Next thing you know, you look up and he's given up 4 runs. He's got to contain those bad innings once things start unraveling a little bit.
By the way, for those who don't listen regularly enough or long enough, Steve and I check each other constantly. We use different sources. We're old. We forget names. So when I heard Vasquez more than once, I went, wait a minute. Did Steve find out Vasquez has been bumped up a day? Why are we referencing Vasquez? That was the point of all that, not to in any way show anyone up, make sure we have the right information. And we got the book on Vasquez, who is going tomorrow against Yamamoto. They're going to miss Shohei, the Padres are, but they're going to get Sasaki and Yamamoto. By the way, that game is on Apple TV tonight. If you have it, it's the late game. The Dodgers at the Padres. The early game's pretty good, too. The Cubbies are at the Brewers, and Mizorowski is going at 4:45 Pacific time on Apple TV.
Yeah, I'm so bummed because I'm not going to have the Padre game tonight because I don't subscribe to Apple TV, so that'll be messed up. But Mizorowski against Rhea, and Rhea's just one of those journeyman pitchers. He's been around. He was a top prospect who came up, sitting at 4-4 on the season, ERA a little under 5. Hasn't been very spectacular last 3 outings. His ERA is 5.4. But the Cubs have some hitting, and I'm curious to see how they go after Mizorowski. He became looking somewhat human in his last outing. Are the Cubs going to be able to do something with him? But, Mizorowski, 8-3 is his ERA of 1.45. He has looked as good as any pitcher, outside of a Christopher Sanchez, who's been unbelievable this year as well. He's been dominant, and I'm curious to see, because the Cubs do have that veteran lineup, just like the Braves had when they beat him 3-2 in his last outing. Are they going to be intimidated with what he's doing, or are they going to look, man, we can hit anybody. We're professional ball players. So I'm looking forward to see this game as well.
Do you think sometime this season Mizorowski goes over 105?
I don't know. I'm actually hoping he tones it down a little bit. If he goes over 105, I'm hoping it comes in a playoff in a big spot against Shohei Ohtani. And it's one of those here. Look, I love it. I used to love it when we'd see, like Nolan Ryan face Reggie Jackson. I love it when it's pure power against pure power. Let the best man win. Don't challenge him. Don't try to get cute. Just bring it. And I think he will in the postseason hit 105. I'm just hoping he doesn't do it during the regular season.
Getting way ahead of ourselves with all of we talked earlier this week about this extraordinary, especially young pitching we have in the major leagues. The potential post-season lineups, the mano a mano things, assuming Judge is back, Otani, the pitchers that'll be on the mound, 4, 5, 6 teams deep. There's some really exciting moments like that to look forward to. One other I wanted to mention tonight, because this is such a weird one. Giants had a really good series against them before. Now they're hosting the Braves who've gotten wobbly, and they got that 4-game lead over the Phillies for the weekend. Ronaldo Lopez is going for Atlanta against Trevor McDonald tonight.
Yeah, this Braves team, lost 4 in a row, 3-7 in their last 10. They are as wobbly as it gets. McDonald's just been inconsistent so far this season. Lopez is 1-1, ERA of 3.86, but his whip is up there. His whip in the last 3 outings is close to 3. So I'm curious to see, how the Giants respond in this. And it just amazes me. I mean, the Giants play the Dodgers really tough. They go into Atlanta, they sweep them. Will the Braves come back and look, you swept us last weekend or whatever it was, and we're going to get payback? Or did the Giants just one of those teams that finds a way to get motivated against the really good teams and then finds a way, and we see other teams that just seem to lose those games and games they should win. And that to me falls onto that manager of getting the players focused and ready to go. So I'm curious to see if the Braves respond to them getting swept or if the Giants just are that, what I would say, poorly coached team that we can only play against the good teams and we don't show up for the bad teams.
Major League Baseball All-Star Game is about 3 weeks away. Phase 1 of the voting is over, was announced yesterday. Fans still have time to vote. Only finalists will be available for voting, though, starting in this year's game from now on. This is this new phasing thing that baseball has gone through. 2 players at each infield position, plus a DH, and 6 outfielders are now the only players capable of starting this year's All-Star Game. One of them is not Nick Kurtz. He did not have enough votes to get into the finalists at first base. For the American League, that would be Vladimir Guerrero Jr. or Ben Rice. I mean, hard to argue, certainly with the name power of those two. The way this works is phase 2 begins at 9 a.m. our time Monday. Remember, no Rob and Steve shows next week. We're off for 1 week. It concludes Thursday of next week. Fans can vote once every 24 hours. The overall vote getter, no surprise, Shohei Ohtani. Second on the list, though, Blue Jays second baseman Ernie Clement has the second overall votes in the entire major. That one was a little bit of a surprise to me.
Yes, I hate this way of doing it. I hate where we've gone with all of the All-Star games. Ernie Clement, it's the advantage of playing in one country, one team. Everyone in Canada is going to be voting for Ernie Clement because he's a Blue Jay. I hate the way they've gone this. I mean, Rob, you have to remember in the olden days, you could only get the ballots at the games. And then you could get them and you had to punch the hole through the whatever, the thing. And
the hanging Chad.
The hanging Chad. And I'd see guys bring like paper clips and they, fold the end out so they could take it and stab it through that with a whole bunch of cards. And then you had to put them in the ballot box. I miss those days.
I know. So campy, so silly, and they were so much better. Have a great weekend and week. We're back a week from Monday on July 6th.
This has been a presentation of the Rob and Steve Sports Show, brought to you by the Rad Network and is copyrighted by the radnetwork.com and Williams Broadcasting for the private use of our audience. Any reproduction, accounts, or descriptions of whatever Rob and Steve just talked about without the express permission of the Rad Network, Williams Broadcasting, and Rob's really mean lawyers is prohibited.